In patch 3.0, Lizards are probably one of the factions that got the most buffs. By the time you're seeing this, the patch probably went live, but we're here once again with the Chaos Dwarfs. We'll be getting back to other factions, shortly, but I still wanted to explore some of the other matchups for Chaos Dwarfs that I haven't got to yet. This is one of them that I haven't showcased in land battles, and it's definitely an interesting one. Definitely, both factions can go a few different ways. Full disclosure, I'm up against Flying Taco once again. This is the second time we played this matchup. The first time I took a shooting build and kind of it was basically the exact build you would take against the Empire. I played it way too aggressively and it just lost horribly. So this is our second go at the matchup. Both changed up our builds. This time I'm going to the Kroxigor Rush. Kroxigors were buffed directly. Also, due to the changes in the way the infantry knockdown interactions work, it's a buff to all monstrous infantry and cavalry. But monstrous infantry in particular were already in a pretty decent place before. I think they might be the meta in the new patch. I'm not sure. Needs more testing, but certainly wanted to take a quad Kroxigor build because it's fun. Got a front line of skink cohorts, of course, with some javs mixed in. And then this one specifically here, the Regiment of Renown Sacred Kroxigor, the cohort of Quaddle, as I get completely tongue-tied trying to say their name. They got a full-on rework, and I don't remember exactly what they had before, but they now have Perfect Vigor and this Dazed Contact effect, which gives minus 10 melee defense, minus 25% speed. It's really a very strong contact effect, in my opinion. So they're going to be my main protection against this guy right here. Aster Chad, of course, gets physical resistance as he takes damage, assuming Flying Taco did bring the Stone Mantle, which he did. Definitely always should, in my opinion. Of course, that magic damage of the cohort will punch straight through that physical resistance. And just in general, the fact they have Perfect Vigor and decent enough stats, that Dazed Contact effect also lowering his melee defense down to only 40. They have 45 melee attack. Have a pretty good chance to hit. Anyway, for Taco's build here, he's bombarded me with this Dreadquake Mortar attached to a Death Shrieker, which is a very expensive piece. Certainly is very cool in punishing my skinks very heavily. He's also got a Death Shrieker rocket launcher. Yeah, the Skullcracker, I mean, with the Dreadquake Mortar. Anyway, 2 Bull Centaur renders with great weapons. That anti-large is going to be quite dangerous for my Kroxigors. Got to be careful of them. This Blunderbuss is also a priority target as soon as I can get onto it, in order to just shut it down so it can't blast my Kroxigors. To that effect, I've got some Chameleons out on the flanks to screen and try and get in with their stock and possibly, disrupt this formation. But right now, Taco's just hanging back with his Dreadquake Mortar. He could try and use it as a chariot here, but the Kroxigor's mass will be enough to block it up and stop it from completely massacring my entire line of skinks in the fashion of a steam tank. Astrogoth also getting very brave. I mean, I know he's quite strong, but he is going to find himself in the midst of the formation here. It's the Mundi slowly maneuvering in, and the cohort backing him up to try and get claws, rather, I guess, for Lizardmen on the Astrogoth Iron Hand Legendary Lord there, of course. But anyway, Kroxigors, that's what we're here to see. Kroxigors do charge in. Then no surprises, they massacre laborers, but the Bull Centaurs are going to immediately respond to countercharge in here. The anti-large AP is definitely going to punish very hard, so we'll toss a quick Apotheosis once I notice. Yep, a little bit of heal there, just to try and sustain those Kroxigors temporarily. Allow the Javs a chance to fire in, potentially, due to the low armor of the Bull Centaurs. They have some missile resistance, 25%, 50 armor, but, yeah, really nothing to write home about. Should be able to get some good damage on them with my javelins, as long as I can keep them tied down with skinks and Kroxigors, which so far so good. We do have a little bit of Ash Storm going down here from Astrogoth, trying to increase that fire damage in this local area. And the skinks are definitely taking some damage, but I mean, skinks actually trade well into laborers. It's amazing, I know. Skinks stats are really not incredible, but they are trading fairly well into laborers. Likewise, Masamundi is tanking that Death Shrieker right now. His Sunburst Standard and his own base missile resistance of 40%, total 50%, means that he's going to take relatively little damage overall from the Death Shrieker, even if it tries to damage him down over time. But that cohort of Quad will move in, and with the skink support, they are easily able to defeat. Yes, the Bull Centaurs. Bull Centaurs are strong, but they're low armor, and the fact that their monstrous unit makes them somewhat vulnerable to Swarm especially when it swarms supported by an elite unit like these cohort. They can come in and just Croxy smash those nasty bearded centaurs. Taco's definitely not going down without a fight, though. Well, we managed to get on the blunderbusses in the back line. They did a lot of damage to the croc stores on the approach. I wish I would have caught that on camera, but you can imagine what it looked like. In this ash storm, the croc stores gonna try and finish it off. Taco very wisely maneuvering away and just screening with whatever he can to try and block the croc stores, but it's really not enough. Obviously, the blunderbusses are likely to be caught there. I mean, we'll see. Even the Death Shrieker is maneuvering away. It looks like the Bull Centaur's coming over, try and stop the croc stores, but again, opens them up to the blowpipes of those millions. Speaking of blowpipes, these ones are going to be trying to focus down that Dreadquake train. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting to see this. Oh man, look at that point-blank Dreadquake shot straight into the Skinks. That's likely to just terrify that unit away straight up. But at the same time, this thing isolated and exposed all by itself over here. Not that Taco really has any support to send it. Getting focused down by multiple units of chameleon skinks here was so cost effective. Almost said skink skirmishers, but they're not quite. And the Shield of the Old Ones cohort pummeling these poor laborers. And yeah, Astrogoth finds himself once again being attacked by all this nasty magic damage stuff, and obviously he's a good enough combatant to defeat Mazdamundi. I mean, I believe so on his own, but definitely not with the cohort in a surround there. The rest of my croc scores have taken a beating, but they've tanked well, done their part. And another thing too, I mean, the Death Shrieker is pretty good at single target damage, right? The rocket, I don't know how it does shooting at monstrous infantry. I'd imagine it's enough to one-shot their unit models, but still, I mean, it's much better shooting at like the big slow dinos in my experience. Limited experience, but still. Like here, the croc scores, because the value was all spread out in different areas, like I had just presented him with a lot of different targets. Even Mazdamundi himself is not that expensive, but tactically is obviously super important. So, yeah, it's a nice victory to pick up over a player like Flying Taco. I mean, I know we're just messing around taking experimental builds. I don't know that the Dreadquake is advisable in this matchup, although, I mean, just the base Dreadquake itself, maybe. Rain, not so much. I do have one replay where I managed to get it to pay for itself, and I will be showing you guys that eventually. I might record it now and release it like in a week or so, just to give people a break from Chaos Dwarfs, because it has been nothing but them for the past little while. But anyway, to this build here, the croc scores did pretty decently. I mean, the mainline croc scores did really pay for themselves, but they tanked out a lot of damage. Tactically also just absolutely smashing that chaff front line and just removing them from existence allowed me to rush down the rest of Taco's build very effectively. Chameleons did a great job out on the flanks, especially the two that bursted down the Dreadquake. They're going to get extreme value because of that. And then, yeah, I love the speed of skinks against the laborers, chasing them down. I mean, all the laborers are slower than even skink cohorts, so you can chase them down once you break them fairly effectively. You can chase down, you know, Chaos Dwarf ranged units fairly effectively. War Machines also generally have pretty slow speed, so the skink cohorts can also catch them. They're also fast enough to dodge something like a Dreadquake, and even a Magma Cannon. I think they'll probably take less damage because of the speed, or at least it might be harder for the Magma Cannon to hit them. It really is an underrated attribute, speed, for infantry, and although skinks lack in a lot of other areas, they don't lack in infantry speed, at least. So it's definitely something in this matchup to consider. And just, of course, poison everything, javelins and blowpipes, and yeah, it's a good counter for the Bull Centaurs, especially. It's probably one of the factions I think these guys are going to struggle to perform against the most. You might have to take the shielded variant most of the time because of just all the incidental poison javelins and everything else, like I said. But anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.